Welcome to Brand OTC or Brand Over the Counter, where we answer your branding questions with a full over the counter product. Now, today's product is actually a candy bar once again, because, candy is okay in moderation, but it's bad for your teeth and even worse for your brand, especially if you're eating up these misconceptions. So, today we're going to talk about the misconception that branding is an overnight success. Now, clearly, if we're in this video, it's not true, right? It's a misconception because while branding is powerful, it's a powerful tool, it's not a quick fix. It is a long game, and I want to break down a couple of reasons why branding is not an overnight success. And in addition, I'm going to give you some practical tips that you can use to help move the needle in the right direction. So, number one, trust takes time. I mean, I talk about relationships all the time because you are building a relationship when you're building a brand. And in order to get people to love you, understand who you are, and trust that you'll do what you say that you will, it takes time. It takes intentionality. So it takes time to build that trust once again. And it's not instant because people do not trust brands overnight. Like again, like a real relationship, trust is built through consistency, through positive interactions over a frame of time. It doesn't happen in an hour, it doesn't happen in 24, it doesn't happen in 36, 48, a week, a month. It takes time. So embrace the journey and really, do your best to let people in on all that you're doing so that they could further build that trust and see that you are transparent and you're, worth them kind of giving an opportunity to. So, one way to move the needle, or a couple of ways to move the needle, is to be consistent. Show up consistently online and offline. Make sure that you keep your promises because once you break that trust, it will be very hard to regain. And then provide value without always selling. Now, I know some people don't always agree with this, but yes, sell because you do need to sell in order to make some money, but also show them why they need you. And that's the value that I'm referring to here. Show them why they need whatever it is that you offer, why their lives will be changed because of it, and why they cannot wait another second on whatever it is that you offer. Because people will buy from brands that they know, they like, and they trust. And that is a process. It takes time to get there. Now, number two, you want to brand um, with clarity, and it requires refinement. That clarity requires refinement. And, it takes time to clarify your brand voice, your messaging, your values, your identity. And sometimes we think that, once we get that visual identity done, then we're done. Or once we get that strategy configured, then we're done. Like that's it. It's glued, it's in cement. But that's not true. We actually need to go over it over and over and over again. We need to refine it. We need to revisit it to ensure that whatever we agreed on at the beginning is what we're still working on and is where our audience actually wants us to go. Because a lot of times our businesses evolve before we really find out that true identity and that positioning and what it'll be in the long run. It's a huge experiment, right? A thoughtful and a calculated experiment, but an experiment nonetheless. And so we don't want to ignore the fact that things are going to change and things are going to evolve because that's what branding is all about. It's about us taking the data and making decisions. So make sure you invest in your brand strategy early so that you could start that legwork ahead of time and then, start refining it in a good, timely manner. Also, listen to your audience feedback and refine your messaging based off of that. And then get clear on your why, your who, and your how. And that's all in your brand core. So, having that clarity creates the confidence for both you and for your audience. And it allows you to appeal to them in a way that speaks to their core, speaks to their emotions, speaks to their heart. And that is important for the health and the wealth of your brand. The next is the next is that brand awareness is a repetition game. And so people need to see and hear from your brand multiple times across many platforms before they even engage with you or remember that you even exist. And so I think they said a brand has to see, or a person has to see your brand at least 7 times before they engage with you. And so think about that. Like you have to keep putting yourself in front of people in order for them to see that, you're there before they even check out what you do and whether you're relevant in their lives. So be consistent with your content, be consistent with your marketing, and show up in multiple places, whether it's email, social media, in video form. They say email is a great place to nurture your audience because they're constantly seeing your name in their, I'm just going to call it feed, or like their email list. Um, Constantly seeing your name puts you at the top of their mind. Like, how many times do you get how many times do you get a email from, a food spot, a burger spot, or a cookie spot, and it puts themselves in your mind that, hey, maybe at the end of the week I want to reward myself with some cookies, or I want to buy, a burger to, crown off the week so I don't have to cook dinner. The fact that they've put themselves in front of you allows you to find a way to incorporate them in your week, in your day, whatever it may be. The next thing is that results don't always show up right away. And results are not instant because branding is about perception, it's about emotion, it's about positioning, relationship building, and it doesn't always lead to immediate sales. It's like the nurturing is the important part. You are building that trust with consistency over time. And so your ROI will also build over time. So it's important that you set some brand goals that aren't just sales. So you want to think about engagement, you want to think about reach. You want to think about specific results that you want to see in the way that you're engaging with your audience to show that, you're actually moving in the right direction. You also want to focus on long-term impact or over short-term wins. So stretch things out. Again, it's not a race. I know sometimes you're thinking about money and you're like, man, I got to make this money. I got to do this. I got to see this result. But again, branding is a long game because you're dealing with people's emotions, you're dealing with their mindset, and it takes a lot of time, or it takes more time to penetrate those areas within an individual in order to win them over for your business. The next thing you want to do is track your data, such as your audience growth and engagement, in order to see your progress. So think of branding as like planting seeds. You're watering it consistently, and you may not see that it's growing initially, but down beneath the soil, the roots are taking form, and that plant is going to pop out, which is your result. So think of branding in that way. And number five, your audience needs time to connect with you emotionally. So a strong brand taps into the emotion, identity, and purpose of an individual. So, that type of a connection doesn't happen just in one post or in one live, one video, or with one product drop. It takes a lot of time, and um you want to be intentional. Focus on the relationship that you're building versus, everything else. You want to take that time to really build a strong connection with the people that you are serving. So consider sharing stories, behind the scenes. Share your values, share real life experiences of the people who have encountered your business. Speak to your audience's aspirations, their goals, their desires, and even the challenges that they have, and use the time to build a community and not just the customer base. People don't just buy the product, they buy into the meaning, they buy into the value behind it. And so you want to give them something real to connect with. And that is important when you're building a relationship. So overall, you do not build a brand, you become the brand through consistency and strategic action. And that momentum will come from repetition, refinement, and overall just being resilient. So I hope that this was a great episode for you, and I will catch you in the next one. Have an amazing day. Bye. You're doing all the things: posting content, updating your website, running ads, tweaking your offers, but still wondering, why isn't this working? Truth is, you might be focusing on areas that look productive but aren't actually moving the needle. The Brand Vitals assessment helps you stop guessing and start targeting. It's like a wellness checkup, but for your brand. You'll gain crystal clear insight into the 9 essential areas every brand needs to thrive. No fluff, no filler, just facts about where your brand stands and what needs your focus. Because clarity is the first step to real momentum. And when you know where to focus, you start to see progress, not just activity. Get out of busy work. Get into brand building that actually works. Take the Brand Vitals assessment now. Have you tapped into your Firmacy benefits? As a beneficiary, you unlock special offers, gifts, and always stay in the loop. Subscribe today to receive your exclusive dose. Visit firmacybenefits.com.